Oh, dude, today's just going to be a passion episode.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, dude, yeah, it's going to be great.
All right, you want to get into some passion?
Well, let's get into it.
All right, let's fucking do it. Let's take a hit of this weed, too. So, we're a couple episodes in now.
Yeah.
And something I wanted to talk about right from the beginning.
What are we at, 5? What is this, 6?
This is number 5.
This is 5?
Sweet.
So, thank you for sticking with us, checking us out. We got a lot of laughs and fun times around here, but let's get a little fucking serious. We're going to get passion. I want you to be jumping off the couch and screaming like you just were, too.
I just want to sit here and bitch about work some more before I go back tomorrow. It's just fucking therapeutic. But I guess it all ties in because me and James were talking about mental health and how it's affected, like, everything around us. You know, we both have a lot of friends and people who can, like, keep it all together while they party, while they go nuts, while they're still living like a 20-year-old at 40, 50, 60. Other people can't. The chef at my job at the Delaware, I watched him literally go from, like, my mentor and, like, the best chef I've ever worked to a pile of dog shit.
So, yeah, you watch the downward spiral in real time.
Leave his whole family for a 20-year-old girl, like, just this whole fucked up thing.
How old was the guy?
He'll be 44 next month.
What was he? How old was he when he started this?
I'm 43.
So yeah, I guess
dude, this is all recent shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, 2020 was one hell of a fucking year.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'll save for another time, because that's a whole hour. Like, that story's fucking nuts.
So yeah, so mental health, like, is a very important issue, something we need to touch on, just because a lot of people have it, nobody wants to talk about it. And one thing when we first started doing the show, like, I wanted to talk about the band thing, but I'm glad we waited and had a little time to figure this out.
Yeah, right, because this sort of all helps lead up to it, and the show's...
I know there's people out there probably watching the first couple episodes that are like, okay, you were in a band, you were in the same band, like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, I was fucked from birth.
So we can kind of tell.
I've been struggling.
Like, the short story is, like, I started the band, I left the band, I had you come in and be me, kind of. Which works because we're both kind of chubby, both short,
and then
both talk too much.
there's a mutual friend who we'll have on the show soon.
I'm just saying that, like, we even wear the same clothes sometimes. Unplanned. But next time we do that, we're going to the mall and fucking walking around for like an hour.
It's only on laundry day.
Which there's laundry going in the room right now.
Yeah.
So, the short story, like I said, is I started the band, played for a while, left the band, had you come in and take over.
Right.
But there's a little bit longer story to it, and you probably don't even know the beginning of how One Way Terror even started.
No,
you probably
besides the One-Eyed Jack influence, was that a part of it?
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, I don't.
So kick back, pick a pipe, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. Then you can tell me what you were doing around that same time.
Shit, alright, sounds good.
So we've already established the fact that I had Buzzhound going, which was me and the homies, which was 2 years before Bob came back from Albany. Like, me and Matt and Charlie used to just kick it in the garage, just jam out, smoke some weed, whatever. Bob came back like, alright, we know a drummer. Because we had our buddy Billy Nelson, but he was like 12 years old, and he just couldn't do it at 12 years old. Bob comes back, we do Buzzhound, great, having fun. At some point in there, like, Dave and Jake start working at One-Eyed Jack's. Like, right when they turned 16. They're being dishwashers.
Did they meet at One-Eyed Jack's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they both started working at roughly the same time as dishwashers. Now, we already know that I made Dave my roadie for Buzzhound, or the Buzzhound roadie, and we have him sailing on speakers down Elmwood, all drunk and shit at like 16 years old with his friend's brother's fake ID, where the promoter was friends with his brother, but they just were like, whatever. It was kind of funny.
Right. Yeah, your dad can never get pissed at you for anything you do from this point on, Reed. Like, you're at that age now.
Want that?
Reed's like, don't bring me into this. You're blowing my
He's
spot
too good
up.
of a kid.
You're blowing my spot up here.
He ain't like you guys were.
No, and you know what? For a lot of the newer kids are, like, I see it with my nephews and shit, like, which is good.
They seem to be growing up in more respectful.
But that's a whole other conversation. So anyways, like, I got Dave and Jake working there, and, like, Dave's got his little punk rock band, Third in Line. Jake's sitting at home playing, like, Between the Buried and Me, just, like, mastering the whole catalog, like, the first 2 albums. And we're
in his car. It's
Yeah,
like, fucking...
So we're working together every single day. You know, we're listening a lot. Like, I wasn't really into Maiden at that point, but then Dave comes in, and we're listening to Maiden all the time, Leftover Crack, Megadeth, like, all the shit. And these kids are all jamming.
Yeah.
So at some point, like, me being kind of like the mentor figure, being 10 years older than them, like, we're going to start jamming. But they were still a little too young to be jamming with.
Right.
So we kind of paid our dues with that. Like I said, we got Dave out there, but just because we knew Dave was a little special, we brought him into the fold. And actually, funny story. Special. Some kind of special.
Not special needs.
No, not special needs. Just a special.
Some kind of special is the name of this episode.
Some kind of special.
You better put that shit in the server.
So, fun fact: Dave had Third in Line when he was like 16, 17, and he was our roadie. Buzzhound and Third in Line played at Dave's graduation party for high school together.
Yeah, Dave has told me this story.
And for us, it was such a shit show because we didn't write down a set list. We're like, wow, we'll just fucking wing it. And it was bad. And I think even Bob and Matt found Dave's dad's stash of beers over on the side of the house and were drinking them. And he wasn't even mad about that.
No, they had a case of beer for us.
Oh, special case? I think there was a hot tub. Didn't Dave have a hot tub at the graduate party, like in the driveway? Oh yeah, there was a knife fight too. I forgot about the knife fight. So yeah, anyways, our bands do this little thing together, play this show. I think Charlie was trying to drop kick me or fight me in the fucking garage. Some weird shit was going down with us. But anyways, so Dave, like, after 2 years of working with Dave and Jake and listening to all this music, going over to Jake's, watching him play the fucking Between the Buried and Me riffs, which he would be playing in his car too, plugged into his speaker or his radio. So at some point we're like, all right, like, let's get together and, like, jam out some Maiden riffs. Like, we're just sitting at work talking about it, doing our tickets, and Dave's buddy Andy, who's a drummer in Third in Line, happened to start working as a dishwasher. At this point, Jake and Dave are on the line now, so they're cooks. Right. They're past dishwasher status. So now they can move up and we can start jamming. So the very first day we get together, we actually go and jam at Buzzhound headquarters, which is Charlie's barn. I think when Charlie was out of town, I called and said, yo, we're going to go jam. Cool. And we do, and we'd, like, jam out a couple Maiden songs, a couple Megadeth songs, write a song. So it was fucking, like, we're like, yeah, we got to do this again. So it wasn't like, I don't know, like...
I want to hear these Megadeth and Maiden songs from this fucking rehearsal thing so bad.
We do have recordings of them, too.
Oh, I want it.
And that was another thing, like, Jake used to play the intro to Holy Wars, and I was, like, so excited about that, because it's something I always wanted to play, could just never get the speed down to it. So I was like, Jake, play Holy Wars, play Holy Wars. So anyways, like, now we got a band going on. And it wasn't nothing against Buzzhound, it was just, you know, Buzzhound, we were a different entity. And now these are kids that just wanted, like, jam riffs. Like, Buzzhound wants to do a whole lot of things. The least of them all, maybe going and playing a show for sure, but, you know, our 50-game foosball tournaments might have been a little bit more important. You got to win best out of seven times. So that's like 49 games you got to win before we even go.
Is that fun? At any given point?
It was like Appetite for Destruction 5 times.
That's the same. We listened to Appetite for Destruction on cassette the entire time.
Flip, let us let one side on, flip. You guys did that 8 times?
Yes.
So now at this point, like, you know, we have Buzzhound. Like I said, we're a different entity. And then One Way Terror, which we didn't have a name for at the time, but, you know, we're just out there to write riffs and stuff and play this, like, riffy 2-guitar type of music. So that's kind of, like, how that started. Before I get into the rest of the story, like, what were you doing when you were... We know a little bit about the Korn cover band.
All right, so the Korn cover band, which I have the flyers, so I'll leave them here and we could put them. They're actually the ones that were hanging on the lockers. So I meet these fucking kids at Cardinal O'Hara in the 350 person high school, and this goes into how I first got into doing music. I never had a sip of alcohol at this point. I'm a freshman in high school. I never smoked weed. I didn't know what weed looked like. I couldn't tell you the difference between nicotine and weed and look, smell, or taste. And I got in this band. I met these kids. We ended up doing the Untouchables, which is a Korn cover band. It was just sort of to get me going, which was awesome because we were able to play like showplace theater and all that shit. Through high school, I was doing that shit. When I turned 17, there's no excuse for it, but the only time I ever got in trouble for anything legally, that includes marijuana, anything. Never ever arrested for anything else except for this one stupid fucking thing I did, which landed me on probation. I was on 2-year probation. I had to do a whole bunch of other shit, pay money and all this shit.
What did you do?
I knew that was coming.
Well, you're not going to just
because
tell us
I don't want to go with like the whole story because it involves putting it on someone else, which is honestly what I feel.
Just give us the
but
but
it was to robbing a house.
Okay.
It was to robbing a house, which is again is probably the best thing that's ever happened was me getting caught because I was not that kind of fucking kid, and I ended up, the small amount of shit I did end up having, and this is hand to fucking every kid in my life.
No judgment. You're not the only person I know that's robbed houses.
I felt
Chris.
so bad
Trust
about
me.
it, but that's the whole thing though. Like I didn't even know, what even the thing
If I had
was.
a fucking book of the charges all the people I knew had, holy fucking shit.
And you used to have a wall of clippings.
Yeah, I did. I did have that. Holy shit.
And I remember and think fuck that I was 17 because
and
it all
you're young,
up
so you don't know any better. You're caught. You were involved with somebody else?
It's not on my record, but it was a fucking felony.
Yeah, but there was somebody else. You guys had a little scheme going on.
Felonies.
Yeah. No, I mean, was somebody else involved?
Someone else was involved,
yeah,
and that's what I don't want to get in. I don't give a fuck about naming or any of that shit. I'm just concerned on the fact that I entered that fucking house, and I want people to fucking understand that I know that.
You were 17.
I had, regardless of the story of what got me there, a kid that never knew anything about that shit, so when we leave, I feel bad, I keep a watch. One watch out of this whole bunch of jewelry and shit
was it a Rolex
that we took. No, I didn't fucking know. I didn't know. I was so sheltered, and that we'll get into that later in this conversation about mental health.
Calculator watch.
But no, who the fuck, dude? It was just something that I just kept, I guess. The other dude literally takes it all to a pawn shop. Now, it's a pawn shop in my area where I still live. I don't even think it's there anymore, but takes it to a pawn shop, puts his real name down, gets caught, right? I'm in school 2 days later. The cops show. This is the first time I'm ever fucking telling this story. The cops show up, and I knew something was up. I had skipped 3 days. 2 days prior was when I came back.
Oh, you're hiding
3 days skipping. So I thought when they were calling up to the classroom, because back then it was just, and it was even sort of new then, there was phones in the classroom.
Oh, yeah.
So the phone would ring, like, is Chris Keepsack there? And they were like, yeah. So I thought that they were coming just to give me shit, or I thought my dad was going to be down there or some shit. And it ended up turning out that it was the fucking police. Now this is at Kenmore West, which was my 4th high school in 3 years, and I still didn't graduate. I got my GED, but I still didn't graduate. But me getting arrested plays a huge fucking part in that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But, so the cops come, they fucking grab me, which was sort of embarrassing, but like I said, I was at this school for 3 months, so it's like,
That's
a
good impression to your new class.
It's just, I knew it wasn't lasting. I knew that I was destined to break out from what I felt was complete, living other. At 17, you should be able to develop your own personality, and your parental unit, if you're still living at home, should be able to appreciate that and give you a little bit of space. And up until that point of robbing that house, I feel that I've never had that. and I'm the oldest, so like I was always sort of the one that didn't get away with shit. So if I ever fucked up across the line, like I was pretty much sort of fucked for a few weeks or months. So getting out and shit was impossible. So I think I did this to like sort of fucking break the mold. Like I knew I was destined for some bad shit.
You were rebelling.
Yeah, dude, it was a big
You were raging
punk rock was
raging against the parental machine.
Punk music was a huge part of my fucking life at that point. Mm-hmm. And I honestly believe it spoke to me to just do what I want to do because I never had a chance to make any... Dude, picking up my clothes and shit as like a 14-year-old wasn't a fucking thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, at 15, 16, 17 it started to be, but like, any kind of creative thing really wasn't a thing in my household. Mm-hmm. I was raised by, and I love you both, but I was raised by fake Catholics that just should not have had children, in my opinion.
I get it.
Glad they did.
Were you in the bands at this point?
In bands?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I got arrested was my junior year.
Were you in the Korn cover band?
West. No, the Korn
I said
cover
that'd be
band.
A fucking...
The Korn cover
like,
band. Every time this is said, that flyer has to pop up because it's actually a cover of their album. But changed a little bit. But no, so yeah, that's the thing. I played all those early shows at Show Place and played these shows and listened to punk music and went to punk shows slightly. Like, my parents weren't locking me in the basement beating the shit out of me. I got out. A lot of the times I snuck out, you know what I mean? But other than that, it was a lot of me really having to, like... And if I fucked up when they gave me permission to go and do something, is when it just wasn't going to happen.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean? It was something like that. So, and I guess I just should have left, like, a long time ago for my own sanity. Because I knew that I just had to be my own person. Mm-hmm. But... when I got arrested, I'd already been in bands and all that shit, and then I get on probation. This is where it gets funny. I get on probation. I think it's 5 years, but if I serve 2 without fucking up, that I can get off in 2. A year and a half in, I start smoking pot.
Oh, no.
A year and a half.
So, did you get busted for that?
So, I got busted for that. 3 piss tests up to that point in 2 years. And then next thing I know, I'm getting piss tested every single week.
Yeah, because they're like, all right, this kid.
Back then, you can use shit like Terminator X and...
That shit was iffy, though.
It worked for me. Now they test for it. Mm-hmm. And I was on literally the brink of it. But in the beginning, I was getting away with it. But then it didn't matter because but it goes into what we were talking about. Then it starts going into like...
Wait. I'm just going to pause for a quick D7K9 tip of the day. Like, if you're faced with a drug test, like on the spot, or you feel like you're going to, keep a yellow highlighter in your pocket. And then when you're going in to take a piss, you can squeeze the yellow highlighter in the water and get enough of it. And most of the time, since the price of the expensive drug tests are so much more than just a quick one, that you'll pass it.
The best part
is... Just saying, I've seen it happen a half a dozen times with a half a dozen people.
The best is when they send you a quest for like a job interview or something, and there's not some guy with a gun watching you piss like there is in a probation office. But like you go in, you shut. Do you know how many times I pass with people? Dude, nothing's worse than strapping someone else's piss to your fucking inner thigh. Let me tell you that. That might be the worst feeling in the entire world. But if you do it right, you keep it warm with hand warmers. You burn your balls a little bit. You go in, you shut the door. And the thing is, at Quest, like with all the legal shit, you can't even see the light under the door once you shut that door. It's soundproof. It's fucking... They can't see anything because of all the lawsuits that they can get from these Quest workers. So, no, like, it's just for jobs. I mean, I've gotten 4 jobs that way by using someone else's piss. How the fuck did we get there, man?
I don't know. You're on probation.
Yeah.
You're pissing dirty. Then what happens?
Okay. So I'm pissing dirty. I'll give you the shorter end now. So, because I've got to the great stuff. So I'm pissing dirty. Then I start doing coke. Then I start like getting into the point where cocaine and shit's around. I'll never forget the first time I ever tried. It was at a party house with a bunch of punks that probably watch this that I still hang with, and I love you all. But
But you ruined my life.
One specifically. No. Chris Keebzak ruined his early life. All right. He's going upward in his middle years.
All right, now don't get too deep into their madness yet.
Okay.
You can tell us the story of how you first did it.
Okay. So I'm at this party house, and a guy that we're all still friends with and talk to, shout out. He brought some in this party house. I was smoking a lot of weed. This was literally probably 3 months into smoking weed. Or drinking. So now I started hanging out in this punk house.
You're new to the party scene, so you're ready to fucking go.
I'm on probation. I'm smoking weed. This is before they even started catching me in piss tests. I'm smoking weed. I'm drinking. And this dude shows up with cocaine. And I was sort of the laugh with and at kid. Because again, I didn't know. There's a bunch of punk kids that have been living their own lives without any supervision. In the house was housing. It was a squat house for all of our friends. So most of the people just left their fucking family's house and went and lived there, and I didn't have the balls to fucking do it.
Yeah, but you were hanging out.
And I'm glad I didn't, for multiple reasons. But
home cooked meals being one of them.
Oh yeah, that's one of them, and just a security net, because there was always just fucked up shit happening.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I loved that house, and it helped mold me for sure. But and he brought it, he put it out on the fucking table, and he called me over, and I of course, even back then I was like, I'll give some money. I just wanted to try anything. You know what I mean?
You're 3
so
months into
this
your
kid's
new
gonna
party
put in
lifestyle.
$20 one line, he's out. It's Chris. You know what I mean? It's fucking Chris. That's to all you fucking assholes that call me fucking Chris. Fuck you. And there's 2 of them here.
I never called you fucking
you
Chris
fucking
once.
asking
But
for it.
I never once called you fucking Chris.
Reed
I'm
will
going
be.
to-
What did everyone call you? Why is what?
Reed
I'm
will-
going to
because
now.
I fuck. Back in the I fuck up a lot of shit
Yeah.
that I touch.
It-
I'm always the guy losing shit.
Oh, okay, I get it.
You know what I mean?
Chris, this is why we're here talking about this today, fucking Chris.
Yeah, fucking Chris doesn't have a car. I gotta go pick up fucking Chris. You don't think your dad said that 5 times today, dude? This mental health thing is gonna be 4 episodes deep, because once I start talking about that shit.
Okay, so you're doing coke.
Okay.
What bands are you in at the time?
Tainted Army.
Tainted Army.
Which was, yeah, I know. That I was waiting for it. But that band, actually, we played some big and great fucking shows, man. We did. We opened up for some huge bands. Opened up for Monster Squad and The Virus. We played to 250 people in Springville at the Center for the Arts there. It was sweet.
So a lot of people laugh at that name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude.
And then, when did you get up with
fucking Chris?
When did you get up with Mad Dog and start jamming with him?
It was prior to the arrest, to the drug use, to the alcohol use. It was shortly before all that, which the punk house blended into. You know what I'm saying? So that was all a part of that same fucking time. After I got arrested, my parents started giving me more leeway, because they're like, fuck this kid. Because I was like, look, I'm not fucking going to graduate. So I want to go get my fucking GED and just end this fucking shit now.
You want to go to the
Because
punk house?
that's the thing. If I got caught skipping or something, I was missing shows that I had tickets for. I was getting shit cut up, autographs that I fucking got in person and shit. It was, you know what I mean? So I had it. I would try to be on my best fucking guard about it. So.
What band do you think you were playing in when, One Way Terror first started making the scene? Because I know
probably at that point it was Profidius Doom, which was that doomcore band that actually, again, for some reason is still fucking huge. And
because I don't even really remember where we met. I just remember meeting at probably Diablo somewhere. You playing a show, us playing a show, probably together.
Well, and I booked you guys at the Casualties gig,
but it was before that.
And I met Dave at a Diablo show, and around that probably 2000 and I don't know. I don't even know. Probably 2000.
So what is at that point in your life? What is your priorities? Are you trying to be
at
in a
that
band?
point in my?
Are you just trying to exist and whatever?
At that point in my life, I'm trying to live out exactly what I thought I should be doing at the time, and that was not thinking about shit and just hanging out and enjoying time and making friends. at times it was like I'm not saying it was the right decision, but I was what am I talking about? Right from that point, it was party on.
Yeah, so you were just ready to go.
Yeah,
you've been suppressed for a long time. You got to see what the other side looked like. Now got your toes in it.
Later on, I found out about drug addiction running extremely heavy in my family, especially on my mother's side, which I still don't know a lot about. So, but like, and my dad's side is alcoholic, so like, it just sort of like as soon as I started using drugs, I've never used drugs to experiment. I always used drugs to fucking cope from the beginning. Like that's why even now, it's more of a crutch than it is like a relaxation part of my day, you know? But that's okay, because it's the lesser of all those evils combined, so.
And what do you think you're mainly coping with? Just, like, your past and the repression you had and the stuff you went through?
That and just not having my own identity, I guess, sometimes. But,
you're fucking Chris now, so you definitely have your own identity.
Yeah, now I do. No, it's a constant it's a constant battle. I wouldn't say I'm like suicidal, but there's definite research that I have. Like I've never been suicidal, is my point. But like there's definitely research that has to be done on how deep mental issues and your chemical dependency.
Your predisposition to all that, and you are repressed as a child. So I mean that's a pretty.
But see that what sucks about hearing that out loud, that I was repressed as a child. My first concerts when I was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, my dad took me to see Alice Cooper in 1997. There was good times, but I feel those were the times where he was trying to be a parent.
Yeah, I mean and studies show that a lot of times there are the good times, but that's just to offset the bad times or to amplify the bad times to get the point across.
I'm the only person in my family where and that's a problem, where I completely always let my emotions overrun me, which is okay if you're around a family that works that way. But when you're not, it's a complete fucking disaster. And like all my family, including my best friend, my brother, completely suppresses shit.
Oh yeah, and you know what? That's the easiest thing to do. So we'll say, right around that time, you're just out partying your head off, just trying to live the rock and roll lifestyle. Right around.
Yeah, and that's a good point too.
Right around. Okay.
The rock and roll lifestyle. That was always like this fucking fairy tale to me.
Yeah, so that's
from
what you were
little kid.
That's what you were latching onto, and now you are at that point in life.
And I wasn't taught to reach for your stars and take what you like at 8 years old and try to be that when you're fucking 20. I was taught that was like godlike shit. That was on the other side. Like the Stones and Kiss and Aerosmith were the Stones and Kiss and Aerosmith because they were fucking born that way.
But when you're in your bedroom practicing your guitar riffs, like that's on the back of your mind, isn't it? Like you're going to be out there doing that.
Yeah, but I also was really lazy in that aspect, where I feel I could have been like a Joe or like my buddy Mike. Shout out to both, who taught me so much on guitar. Like I could have been that fucking good, but it just took me like a long fucking time of sitting there and fucking making myself do it because I knew that I loved it. But I never thought I would. I always thought I was destined to be like a rock star like those other people, but I never thought of it as a possibility.
I mean, as long as you playing that guitar would get you a kiss from a waitress and a line of coke, you were good to go.
I have nothing to say.
I get it. So, was that you?
Yeah.
You don't even turn yourself
I
off.
didn't mute it today. I was so ready to sit down and start bitching.
No, okay, so anyways, around that time, you got your rock and roll lifestyle going on. So then I'll get back to the one-way terror story and how I go fucking completely crazy.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Because I don't want to leave you out here in the water getting into stuff you don't want to talk about.
No. Well, I'll talk about anything.
Oh, yeah, so we're going out, and we're just starting to practice a little bit. And then, like, the next set of events starts a fucking downward spiral that pretty much almost consumed me. And it's, like, I sat back and thought about this, and I'm like, this is just fucking weird. So it first starts, we have a dishwasher at One Eye Jack's. He's this old guy, he's like super haggard, doesn't take care of himself. Call him Uncle Rick. Now Uncle Rick's only got like 6 teeth. Well, he only had 6 teeth when he started. 4 on the bottom, 2 on the top. One of them was a fang on the side. That was really fucking weird looking.
That is really weird.
But, and I played some really cruel jokes on him. We'll talk about some other time because they're fucking epic. But we got this haggard guy. But we're taking care of him because, like, all he has is his One-Eyed Jack's dishwasher job and his fucking car that he got from his sister after she passed away. So he doesn't have much going on. We're taking care of him. But he's got these 6 teeth. And then actually it goes down to 5. And, like, the fact that he's one of them close talkers, so he's always talking to me, so I'm just, like, noticing this shit. So this is planting the first seed.
That's how Mad Dog, I love you, but that's the shit you do, bro. Too close.
So then one day, I'm driving to work in the morning, and I'm listening to 102.1 The Edge. They have this contest on, and it's whoever has the best sob story gets $30,000. So this, as I'm driving to work, smoking, this guy comes on and says something about, like, he had this rare disease or rare fungus in his mouth that made all his teeth fall out. And he's, like, the same age as me, and he's, like, going on there talking about how he can't eat steaks and hamburgers, and they're, like, doing this whole thing. And I'm driving to work, and I'm like, this is fucked up. Get to work, Rick comes in, and he's telling me a story about whatever hijinks he had at the Niagara Hotel the night before. But he's close talking me. As he's close talking to me, like, his 4 bottom guys are wiggling. And he's, like, this close to my face. And I had just heard this other thing on the radio, so, like, I'm at this point in life, like, I'm already kind of going through, like, a crisis in my head where, like, I feel like I'm getting too old to be doing the shit I should be doing. I need to be, like, doing better with myself.
Right.
Not just playing in bands, working in kitchens. Like, should be in school. Like, maybe in a, like, long-term relationship. Something a little more, like, growing up. I'm hanging out with Dave and Jake, seeing their crowd being so young, and just realizing, like, I'm 10 years older. Like, do I need to keep doing this shit? Not a big thought in my head, but it's in the back of my mind a little bit.
Right.
I remember we went to one of Dave's first concerts was Real Big Fish. I think it was at the Icon. And me and a friend of mine went. We met him up there. And it was like 16 and older, wasn't readmitted. So me and my friend went out to go smoke a blunt after MXPX was done playing.
I was at that show, Real Big Fish MXPX.
And I remember seeing like Dave and his crew like just sitting there like by the fence inside the venue. And he knew we were going out to smoke a blunt. And he's just like, oh man, I wish I could go. And I was like, in a couple years you'll be able to, but I'm like, we're the only people old enough at this show to even leave and come back in. It's all kids.
Yeah.
And their parents, like, waiting to pick them up.
Was Less Than Jake on that show?
No, they weren't.
Who else? Somebody else? Maybe not.
No, there was another band.
Maybe it was just...
I can't remember.
Yeah, I thought there was, too.
I got the ticket stub at home.
But, yeah, at that point, I was going to whatever the fuck I wanted to.
In the back of my mind, like, someone's telling me, like, you're getting a little old. You got to get your shit together here. But I'm still going on doing whatever. But like I said, this day, listen to this thing on the radio about the guy with this fungus losing his teeth. Get there, and Rick is talking, and his teeth are waving at me. I got this other shit in the back of my head, so it's all kind of crazy in my brain. Later that day, go to like our 3rd or 4th one-way terror practice, and we're practicing at Andy's house in his basement. And in between songs, I like go outside to smoke a cig. And I'm standing by my car window, and I like just happen to look in the mirror, and I noticed I had like a little bit of tartar on my bottom teeth.
Oh, yeah.
So at that moment, like between the radio station thing, Rick's teeth waving at me, and the tartar on the teeth, like I just fucking lost it. Like I got this idea in my head, and it just caused this huge wave of anxiety right on the spot. That like I had teeth issues. I was gonna have fucking teeth falling out.
Was that like the first anxiety you ever felt?
No,
like that,
not the first anxiety I've ever felt, but this was something different.
Right.
So internally, like all the issues I think I had built up at that point from wanting to get a little like getting too old or whatever, everything came crashing down at that fucking moment. So I had this new obsession with fucking teeth. Like I freaked out. I couldn't even really jam anymore. I had to leave. Went home, got in the phone book, started looking up fucking dentists. It was already later at night, so I had to wait till the morning to call. So I finally, like, flipping through the phone book, call a couple dentists. everything's like a month or two out, so I find one that's like the quickest. It's like 3 weeks in.
All right.
So I'm like, I gotta go to the fucking dentist. I gotta get this shit figured out. Like, this teeth shit's fucking me up. Meanwhile, I still work with Rick, and he fucking loses another fucking tooth, like 2 days later. And I'm like already starting to bug, so it's to the point where like I'm fucking starting to obsess over teeth in a really bad way. Like, I go out and buy these little mirrors like the dentists use and keep them in my pocket. I'm just like looking at my teeth after I seen them in the mirror. I could not stop looking at these fucking things.
It became a true obsession.
And like, now I gotta wait 3 weeks to get into the fucking dentist. So I'm fucking bugged out. I have this little fucking mirror, and I'm like totally fucking freaking out inside. And I'm like trying to keep it together so people don't know that I'm fucking losing my shit. I'm going down to Alcott every day, which I don't know if you know what Alcott is, our little beach town. I'm sitting down on the fucking pier, sitting in my car, like, with a mirror looking at my fucking teeth, like, for hours, and then just being all anxious about them and, like, waiting for this fucking dentist appointment. So I'm like, 3 weeks of just, like, I have to fucking just lay in stillness, like, so I'm not freaking out, because I'm not taking any benzos at this point.
I was about to say, like, how many people are looking at you, like, saying, that dude's on crack?
That's not even a crack thing.
Like, or no. What? No, just, like, looking, like, just, like, looking.
No, I was sitting there, like, hiding from it, but, so anyways, freaked out, go to the dentist, nothing's fucking wrong. Told the dentist I'm all freaked out about it. It's like, you got nothing to worry about. Come back in a couple months. But at this point, like, I've already obsessed on it so fucking much, like, I cannot get rid of this obsession with it. And it's like, and at this point, like, it's starting to come out to other people, like, I'm starting to be obsessed with it. And we've already talked about when Bob, very first show, when he played, and we were going on to Pennsylvania, but he had the infected fucking tooth and almost died. Mm-hmm. Like, this is right when this, like, I'm already at the point where I'm obsessed with this shit, so that fucking bugged me out in itself. Because I'm already obsessed with this. I'm not trying to let people know I'm obsessed with it. And then here, my partner in crime, so to speak, for all these years of music and shit, is going to almost be dead. And we're trying to get him to go down and play in Pennsylvania. And it's a tooth fucking thing. And now I'm all obsessed with fucking teeth. So that kind of fucked me up. But all these weird things. You know, Rick at work loses another fucking tooth. And, you know, just because I'm looking at him, I know how many he's got, so now I'm fucking monitoring this dude's fucking teeth. But it gets worse. Like, I've got these little fucking mirrors. At some point, like, I'm getting so fucking crazy over this shit. The nerves in my mouth and gums. If I would think about the shit wrong, I would get these weird fucking sensations. And they weren't even pain sensations. They were just fucking sensations. And, like, I'd be sitting there, like, trying not to think about shit, and then all of a sudden, like, the whole side of my mouth's got these weird, like, sensations. And I'm like, it's gotta be something with my teeth. They're gonna fall out, like, freaking out more. So now I'm, like, going to the dentist every 3 fucking weeks.
Wow.
And I gotta pay this motherfucker $90.
Yeah, right?
Every time.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, like, there's nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, there's something wrong. And he's like, I'd tell you if there was something wrong. But every single fucking day, at some point during the day, I would get these fucking weird sensations, and they would put me on this fucking path of anxiety that was, I don't even know. So meanwhile, like, we're trying to do the band thing and everything, and as I was sitting there thinking about this, like, every single picture or video, like, of me being in that band, like, I was going through that shit mentally at that point, in that picture.
Yeah, that's hard shit to go back to sometimes and look at, ain't it?
It was not even hard to look back, but I was just like, damn, like, every single time. So I'm getting more and more obsessed to the point where I'm going to the library after work and I'm reading all the fucking college textbooks on dentistry. I would sit there for fucking hours reading dentistry books. Like, back then, I probably could have fucking passed the test and became a dentist without ever being in anybody's mouth but my own.
Well, this is before you can just do it on a fucking... Well...
No, you could.
But, I mean, yeah, but that was... You still...
I needed something to, like, occupy my time to keep me from not thinking about it, even though I was thinking about it nonstop.
Because you're researching it, though.
Well, yeah, because I'm for some reason it's like kind of easing it, but I'm getting like these sensations were fucking what was fucking me up, and it was my own mind making these sensations happen. It was like my body attacking itself.
It's interesting.
And every single time, like I would think about it or not try to think about it, I would get them. Then I'd start bugging out.
Has that happened before where you pinpointed on one thing and really stressed on it to the point where it wasn't even an issue?
I think maybe this whole scenario.
But no. Before or after?
No.
I'm my question.
In this whole like this was just the first summer. The first summer I'm in the library. I need something to do because that's all I can fucking think about. Like, even when I'm hanging out with my friends, playing in the bands, like, this is constantly on my mind 24/7. These sensations are happening 24/7. And, like, at this point, there's not even anything a dentist can do, because I've been to the dentist so many fucking times that the last time I went and not the last time I went and seen him, but when I stopped going to see him every 3 weeks.
Right.
And he knew I was fucked up in the head. And he was telling me to stop, and, like, but was also trying to help, too. He even kicked the money down a little bit, too, because he knew I was spending a lot of money. So he walks in the one day, hands me an envelope, and says, "Here, take a look at this." And I open it up, and it's fucking plane tickets to Hawaii. He's like, "You bought me these." He's like, "You could have just kept your money and bought these yourself and went on a fucking vacation to Hawaii."
And, okay,
so I was like, okay, I can't come see this guy. So I booked an appointment at a different guy a couple weeks later. Like, it was fucking bad. Like, and at this point, like, the people around me starting to see that I have, like, I don't know to the extent everybody knew how bad it was, but I was fucking bugged out all the time. So I'm always asking people, and I'm really, like, learning more about the people I know's teeth than they fucking know about their teeth.
Yeah.
It's just kind of fucked up. Like, I remember one time Bob coming back from China, like, "Oh, I chipped my tooth on some chicken bones." And I'm like, what the fuck? We were playing a show, and then one day Dave's like, "Oh, I chipped my tooth on the fucking microphone."
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? So I used to go out and buy them foam screens that you put on them. So if I had to sing backup vocals, and I'd have like 6 or 7 of them in my guitar bag. Just so I always would have one, because if I forget it and lose it somewhere, you always have an extra one.
I used to use those too. Why don't we use foam screens, man? I still have a fucking pack, yeah, because after that day, Dave's like, "Oh, I chipped my tooth on the mic." I'm like, fuck no, I'm not even going to fucking sing backup vocals anymore. Do you know how many times we've been fucking electrocuted and shit, dude? Like, zapped?
Oh, I've been zapped. I'm just talking about, like, chipping teeth.
Oh, yeah. Well, playing basement shows and attic shows, like we talked about last episode, like, yeah, that's another part. It's like sometimes it's like a sport, dude. You're dodging, not only you're dodging people and shoes and feet, you're dodging, like, microphones and microphone stands are constantly getting pushed. Amps.
Yeah, so this shit was this obsession and this fucking subsequent nerve feeling in my gums and teeth.
So, like, just so you know, like I was just searched paranoid about my teeth. This is a pretty common thing. I had no idea about this. Like, people worry about it.
Oh, I'm
the
sure.
exact same thing that you're describing, like going to the dentist, them telling them there's nothing wrong. Like,
I didn't.
All over the world,
you know, and I never even looked in to see if there was a community of like-minded people.
See, but here's the thing: were you taking care of them the whole time?
Oh yeah,
because Val's sort of like that, but she's so crazy on taking care of him that it doesn't cause that kind of. But she is that paranoid about it.
Yeah, and it was just like
cause that anxiety.
And one of the things, like, when I'm sitting there looking at these teeth, like, all teeth have these little fissures in the enamel from, like, stress and over time. Like, if you look at your teeth, you'll find little tiny cracks in them. They're just enamel things. They're completely normal. Everybody has them. But that's one of the first things I noticed when I was looking in a mirror at them. So I would sit there and, like, see if they were getting any bigger or any less. Like,
right.
And I tell you one thing, like, the mirror you don't want to use is your car mirror above your visor, because that magnifies everything. It makes everything look a little bit different. So it was a real fucking obsession for a long time. Yeah. And as far as so the dentist gives me the tickets, said you could have been to Hawaii, and that was just the first summer of this obsession. So around that time, the band's kind of doing its thing. At this point, like, the only thing I have, like, to look forward to is playing these shows.
Right, yeah.
And, like, we're writing these songs. And, like, everything else in life I just can't even function with. Like, my day-to-day, like, at work, I'm so fucked up on this teeth thing. Like, the owners of the restaurant I worked at, you know, they had to have a meeting with them. They knew.
At this point, how long is the teeth thing from start to in the story? How long?
We're probably, like, a year in.
A whole year.
A whole year.
Does it get worse, or is the obsession just as bad as it was in the beginning? This point that we're
the
at.
obsession is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It's getting kind of worse though. Just not the amount of shit that I'm doing to obsess over, but how I feel is getting fucking worse.
Yeah.
Like, it's consumed everything. There's no more enjoyment of actual living life. Like, I was sitting there thinking of some shows going to during that time. Like, there was this the Rancid Rise Against show.
Yeah, I worked that show.
That merged with
Billy Talent.
No, Billy Talent was on that tour, but it was
Killswitch and Gage.
Killswitch and Whitechapel.
Whitechapel, right.
And they merged the two shows.
Yeah, I worked that show as a load-in guy.
Did you?
Yeah.
So,
got
like,
we were liars and shit. It's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that was a real show I was excited for, because I love Rancid, love Rise Against, love Billy Talent.
Yeah.
And funny side story is when One Way Terror before we even played our first show, we all went to a show together as a band. We went to go see the Star Fucking Hipsters. The first time they came, before the 2 times we played with them afterwards.
Okay.
But nobody's there. Just me, Jake, Dave, and Andy, and a couple other kids. And then, like, these 2, like, poser-looking kids, like, show up, like, right before they come on. At some point, Dave and Andy get in a fight with these kids. I think Dave punches the kid in the mouth. And then somebody that Dave knew, like, grabbed the kids up and threw them kids out.
Okay.
Of the show.
Yeah.
Because they had known Dave a little bit from the punk scene.
Where was this show?
This was at Diablo.
Diablo, I thought so, okay.
So then we go to the Rancid show, and we pull up. And I think Dave I think I was with Dave. We pull up. I think, were you at that show? The Rancid...
Yeah,
Rise Against with Matt. Yeah. So we pull up next to them because we're, meeting them up there, and then right next to us is that poser kid and his buddy that Dave got into a fight with, and we hadn't seen him in almost a year.
Right.
And they pulled up right next to us, and like this kid had the same mohawk Dave has and whatever. So I figured they might end up fighting at the show, but during Rancid's encore, I don't even know what song they were singing, but Dave and this dude were in the pit, arm in arm, mohawks steady up, singing along, and whatever beef they had was squashed in the Rancid pit. But just a good example is, like, I remember, like, how excited I was for that fucking show, but I was just so fucking obsessed with teeth that, like, that's all I could fucking think about. Like, every place we ever played, like, if they have a bathroom mirror, I've checked my teeth in them. Like, other shows, like... them swilling grills that your buddy Mark used to put on, which were really fun, but I just, like, be obsessed with teeth. It got bad to the point where I stopped eating because I was obsessed with teeth and not wanting to fuck my teeth up. Like, I'd have to go, like, 3 or 4 days out eat, and then I'd eat, like, some pork fried rice from the Chinese restaurant. Or maybe, like, a salad a couple days later. Like, I remember going on a date and fucking... just thinking about teeth the whole fucking time, but trying to be cool, but thinking about fucking teeth. And then went out to eat, and I'm like, fuck, like, I'm in the middle of, like, a 3-day fast. So I had to, like, think quick, and then luckily they had, some breakfast options, so I'm like, oh, sweet, I can just get this fucking omelet and toast, and, like, not have to worry about it being a fucking piece of chicken that's got a bone in it or something. It's like, I will not eat, to this day, even though the repercussions have gone away over the years, I still won't eat chicken that has bones in it.
Wow.
So at this point, like, I'm just fucking...
But a lot of people are like that, though, for many reasons.
I'm just saying that's
not
my...
like an abnormal thing.
I'm just saying that's my particular reason. So, like, I'm not eating, I'm not enjoying life, like, the only thing I'm doing is playing in this band and, like, Buzzhound. I don't know what the fuck was going on with us. We were all just being a bunch of assholes to each other. Still, it's probably because the Sabres weren't in the playoffs that year, so we kind of fucking... we're just grumpy. But One Way Terrors, we're out there, and... like, that's basically my vehicle to, like, be able to live life. Because the only time I can kind of function, and at this point, too, a friend of mine, God bless his heart, had, like, an unlimited supply of Valium and saw that I was all fucked up and was like, here, you need some of these. So now I've been on fucking heavy doses of Valium for months and months. It's not making it any better, but it's at least a little bit, slightly more enjoyable.
Were you able to not think about teeth for any full day while on the Valium?
No. The only time I could not think about teeth, I think, is like halfway through a show or halfway through like a band practice.
But I'm assuming you weren't eating 15, 20 Valium a day like hardcore users.
No, I started fairly light, 1 or 2 a day, but then it quickly got up to 7 or 8.
Exactly. That's how it was with tabs too for me. It's like it's a tolerance thing there though. Like that's all. But like you hear about these comedians like Artie Lane that was taking all those and shit, and like literally busting down like 80 Vikes and shit a day.
First time I ever went to New York City, me, Matt, and Charlie rode out there on a New Year's Eve. Ended up, by the time we got off the train into Times Square, it was 11:55. It was kind of a crazy thing. But later on, we're walking around like New York City, like 3, 4 in the morning. We're walking down this one alley, and there's a guy getting kicked out of a club by like 4 security guards. They got him thrown up against the wall, and they're like, this guy's got some friends trying to intervene and shit. It was fucking Artie Lang getting thrown out of a club, and he's like, "Don't you guys know who I am? I'm Artie Lang. I'm out." Because he might have still been on Howard Stern at the time too. He's like,
what year was this?
This was 2001.
Yeah, can you see what?
Or he might have been just
on Stern.
He might have just been off of Stern, but he was
no, because he went. I'm wondering if it's it must have been, dude. That must have been literally the start, like, of his huge climb.
He was,
or even pre-Stern, because he had a name with Mad TV.
No, he was
2001 to 2008.
There you go.
Stern,
yeah, so he ended around 08, 09.
He must have just been getting on Stern, but he had 4 security guys like pulling him out the back door of this club, and he had like 2 dudes with him, and they're like kind of tussling. He's like, "Don't you know who I am?" And I'm like, holy shit, it's Artie Lang getting kicked out of a club.
Even if it was a week after he started that show, he still would have been able to say that, because...
Oh, he did say something about Howard Stern.
No, that's what I'm saying. He absolutely was that popular on that show after a week, because if you remember, Norm Macdonald brought him in twice after Jackie got fired or left, or whatever Jackie did. So when Jackie the Joke Man left, Artie came in. But that is a fucking great story. Sorry, we cannot talk about Stern now, man. That's nuts.
No, and I told you I had something to say about Artie Lang. That's what it was.
That's a great way to bring it up.
Him getting kicked out of a club on that point would be New Year's morning, but yeah. So I got into about 7 or 8, but there'd be times where I could take 10 to 12. I mean, I had an unlimited supply of this Valium for a long time, which is something. So now I'm obsessed. I'm over here in the country, obsessed with teeth and eating Valium. What are you doing out in Kenmore?
So this is well, okay. So
at this point, like, you've disappeared from the scene. Nobody knows where the fuck you are.
Okay, well,
I remember like somebody saying something like, "Oh, Chris, he's bad. Like, he's not playing guitar anymore. He's in any bands. Like, he's all fucked up."
Yeah. So I started getting really bad with cocaine specifically. Now I would say weed too, but I sort of have the same spending habit nowadays on weed, but whatever. But back then I was also spending, I was paying my rent because I was out of my parents' house at this point. I was paying my rent and fucking literally working 9 to 5 days a week, and every other cent was pretty much going towards drugs. Mostly cocaine. So, like, then I got in a relationship, and I'd already started. I remember at this point when I started moving over to opiates, benzos and shit weren't even really my thing. I remember taking them and passing out for 2 days, like taking one fucking Klonopin and passing out for 2 days. Like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, not enjoying it or even knowing what a benzo high was at that point after taking it. So, like, it was strictly over to opiates, and then it was just fucking over. And that is when that's when I met you guys, and when I met Bob for sure. But that was the worst time. Adderall was also a huge thing. Molly had just gotten introduced. So I was just out fucking. I mean, I had an apartment with another dude, with one of my best friends. We were just fucking getting fucked up all the fucking time.
Yeah, so how long were you doing this for? Just days turn into months, turn into years?
Yeah, pretty. I mean, no, I would say from like 2010 until 2000 and probably like 13 were the worst. Those were the worst.
Did you have a moment where like you knew you were slipping into an abyss that you wanted to get out of?
Yeah, when I started snorting heroin, for sure. But that, see, this is all like normal shit for me to talk about. Like, I'm not even thinking about putting this shit on fucking line. But like, no, yeah, purely because of money. Mm-hmm. Because, like you mentioned earlier about, your tolerance starts going up. So, like, you start by eating one or two, and then next thing you know, you're literally, the highest I was up on Loratab 10 milligrams, right? We all know what that dosage is between us three. Like, 10 milligram Loratabs are pretty strong, but I was...
See, actually, I haven't taken an opiate since 2002, so I'm not even...
Yeah,
couldn't even tell you what it is.
The most I took...
I could use my imagination.
Any kind of opiate that you get at a doctor's office or anywhere else is basically fucking heroin. The one complete... And I never shot heroin. I was never addicted to, like, heroin. Like, all I was doing was fucking heroin, or, like, heroin was a long time of fucking shit. It all came from going from one Loratab to fucking literally 18 a day in a matter of fucking months, and then moving on to higher shit that didn't even really last that long, like Oxycontin and Opana. Now they don't even make them where you can crush them, but you used to be able to crush these fucking pills up, and when you were able to crush them up, you'd get a whole day, but you were paying $1 a milligram. So if you were getting an 80 milligram Opana, and most of the time you could only find them in 40s, 60s, 80s. They were $1 a milligram, so you're paying $80 for one pill. And when your tolerance is that high, it'll make up for the 18 Loratabs or whatever. But it doesn't really last any longer or anything like that. So then you move on to the $10 bill. Then you find someone who gets you pills that through somebody who you were getting fucked up with, that you met, you had over your place. And then next thing you know, you're buying bags of heroin. So, but that part was the complete end of where we're up to before I joined One Way Terror. That ends.
So, like, is shit really bad for you? Like, you're just fucking miserable?
Fucking awful. But like I said, all of it was to make up for me having zero self-confidence at that point in my life. And not knowing who I was, really.
I think the image I was... getting from what people are telling me where you were was just like in the gutter, not good.
Oh, I was in the gutter. I was fucking, dude. I was taking, I mean, I don't know how much more in the gutter you can get than literally spending hundreds of dollars.
Did you give up on bands? Like,
oh yeah, there was, and if we spliced it in, we spliced it in. But I was rapping for some time, which was just. I wasn't, like, wearing the get-up and shit. Like, I never, ever pretended to be a rapper. But I enjoyed rap. What
was your name?
Well, the name was... Well, we were doing it with these... Well, I don't even... This is something I don't like talking about. This is something I don't like talking about. But if you search... So the kid I was rapping with, we were at Mighty Taco, right? And I was working at Mighty Taco. This is the point, so I'm like 17, whatever. At this point I'm 18, 19. And I'm working at Mighty Taco. And we start
Listen,
this rap group.
Sometimes an opiate addiction does lead to a bizarre rap group.
That's what it was,
Just look at Joaquin Phoenix.
But to my defense, so I was huge into Tech 9 at the time. I had just seen and found Tech 9.
Don't be embarrassed. There's nothing wrong to, be
Search
influenced
it up.
and try to...
FMT Countin Racks. Trust me. But let me explain now. The Countin Racks, to me, every single thing I rapped about, and you'll see, and James actually might dig it. Every single thing that I rapped about had to do with mental issues, which is why I'm okay with talking about it on this fucking podcast. The Countin Racks was about being in public and literally as a kid, like as a 12-year-old, me counting pairs of tits just to keep my mind off of being so anxiety-ridden in crowds.
Yeah.
But the kid I was rapping with was talking about money that we didn't fucking have. So, like...
Listen here, fucking Chris.
So
I'm not here to judge you.
I'm okay, and I stand by the raps that I did. They're just corny.
There's nothing wrong with
But
that.
at the same point, this is it.
This is
Oh,
not
wow.
You actually...
Now, he raps too, but this is it.
This bad boy.
How many views does this have?
Is that going to go right here?
35.
Wow.
If this makes me laugh, I'm gonna feel bad.
No, don't feel bad. Dude, this is a long time ago. This is like 2000.
Listen, no shame. Who did the beat?
We stole it off the internet.
Yeah,
Dude, I was on opiates. Who you think I was fucking writing beats? I was sitting at home writing this shit down.
Do you start off, or is it the other guy?
This is me right here.
Let's hear. Oh.
Oh, this is
Dude,
so
it sounds
embarrassing.
like a D-Ant word. It sounds like Ninja.
I really don't think it's that bad, and
Dude,
that's why
hey.
it's embarrassing to me.
It's
Fuck
not
yeah.
as bad
You
as I
think
was
so?
expecting. I kind of like it because it's kind of shitty in all the right ways.
Yeah, well, that's what I was sort of going for. It felt like I thought I was a goddamn rapper.
What does FMT stand for?
Well, we
Fuck
had like
Mighty
a whole
Taco?
list, like
Wait,
who
fuck Mighty Taco.
Fuck Mighty Taco.
Okay.
But the whole thing, right? You see what I'm saying? Now, this kid was younger than me, and
Yo. I'll dig out the tape of a rap that I did with a kid that I worked with, and I'll bring it next week. I have it on cassette.
yeah,
Wait. Hold
that's
on.
me singing.
Wait.
That's me singing.
Are we listening to it, or?
I don't know.
No,
It sounded like you were going somewhere. I don't know. You started to do something. What was that?
what do you
Go,
mean,
rewind like 5 seconds.
Auto-tune?
dude? Go back. It was
Go
auto.
back like 5 seconds.
You gotta go back to probably.
Fuck yeah, you got auto-tune?
I told you I heard something.
That's real life. That's real.
Auto-tuned.
But you got to admit,
Listen.
for fucking Chris, it's not that bad.
I think
It sounds like D-Ant words, like first EP.
Oh man,
It
dude,
really
I don't
does.
show people this shit either.
Yo.
Like
But now
that, this
everyone's
shit,
seeing
I
it.
know, this shit has been
Okay,
in the
so-
vault for a very long time.
I guess
I'm.
I'm-
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, 8 years.
so. You're in the gutter being a fucking rapper.
there's more on there too, but you ain't gonna find it unless I tell you.
Oh man.
What were you?
I'm just saying, so
Yeah, no, it's.
What were you
yeah,
saying?
good.
so at this point you're an opiate addicted juggalo rapper.
No, I no,
that
no, no.
hates Mighty Taco.
So you've hit rock bottom.
Oh, dude,
Okay,
cans of Faygo all over. The makeup just fucking all over the walls. No.
All right, here.
So-
No, go ahead.
No, I never gave up the passion for music. What happened was I got in a shitty relationship that was mostly because like of the drugs and shit, and I just gave up on life. And then it got to the point where, so she cheats on me, we break up, whatever. I have to move home now. My grandfather is dying in Florida. It just so happened around that time my parents were going there. They took me back in because I was a fucking mess, no job. Got fired just from not going in fucked up. Which, it's not me. That 2-month period is what that was towards the end there. And then I went to Florida. Before I went, because I had like 3 weeks in between living at my parents'. Before I went, I filled out Craigslist ads or whatever for a job. And that's how I got the job at the Delaware, because I went to Florida. My grandfather was in hospice, stayed there for 2 weeks, came back for the funeral because they flew his body back from Florida, and I had that call for the job. This is all pre One-Way Terror.
It was all the same time because I remember that.
All
shit
of
happening.
it was the same.
Yeah, so
This was right before, and the only way you'd hear is because I was me and Dave came back into my life. He became close. We became close friends. Like, I forgot how it even happened. Like, it may have been from like weed or partying, but it was like the Misfit show we all met up with when me and my girlfriend at the time, and then Dave and Ange met up at the Misfit show, came back to the apartment, and from that point on, me and Dave stayed in a constant friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So, or was I? What was the point of that?
So, that was all. You were starting your job. You're starting to rebound.
Oh yeah, so I'm starting to rebound.
So,
I got the job, and then Dave is already in my life from those previous months of living in that apartment that I no longer live in.
So maybe your name's starting to pop up again a little bit.
Well, I had met him a little before this because One-Way Terror was playing a show with you above that chop shop.
Yeah,
that's right.
I remember us hanging. I was gonna say, I remember us hanging out at that the Russian chop shop.
That's
you
right.
You were fucking tweaking out behind the fucking.
We were
back there to smoke, and you were like, you could tell you were fucking on.
Yeah, we were
really.
We were
Is that right? You remember that though?
And actually, I think me and you had like a 2-hour conversation
out
there.
It was probably pill withdrawal. Is probably what it was.
I think
it was you and your girlfriend that you were with at the time.
Yeah,
you guys were on something.
You know what it was?
You were
it was
a fucking
well,
mess.
like a lot of people know how that shit goes though. Who knows? It could have been withdrawal from not having it. It could have been I ate fucking 60 milligrams at 8 in the morning, and now it's starting to. It could have been that I ate fucking 40 right before I got there. Oh, I know what it was. It was fucking like 70 milligrams of Adderall and a bottle of Evan whiskey. Yeah. That's what it fucking was.
Okay, yeah, so I remember that because we had like a 2-hour conversation. You were definitely a mess.
Oh,
so
mess.
Maybe that's... So right around, at the Russian chop shop, what do you know? I'm obsessed with teeth, and I even fucking found the bathroom to go look at them.
Even at that time.
So...
Wow. Yeah, it was interesting.
It got to a point where...
Because you didn't tell anybody that, right?
Most of the people around me knew to an extent. Like I said, I started knowing more about other people's teeth than they do.
Yeah.
They didn't know how bad it was, and then there was a point where people were just fucking over it. Like, dude, if your teeth fall out, go buy some fake ones.
Dude was rolling around with like the dentist mirror and a fucking tartar scraper in his car.
I never used the tartar scraper though. I didn't want to damage the enamel. But it came with the mirror, so I had it.
Yeah, it had to stay with it. So now there's a little bit of OCD involved.
So needless to say, I'm fucked. No enjoyment. I'm trying to watch the NHL playoffs in general. Just sitting there fucking miserable. There's days where I have to stay in bed. I can't move. Or I just have to sit in this chair or sit down in all cat looking at fucking teeth. I'm fucking shot. There's no enjoyment. We're playing shows, whatever. So at some point I'm like, I'm just gonna have to fucking end my life because I can't live this life any longer. Right. So it's a weird place to get to.
No, because
but after a year and a half of the madness itself, it's one of them things, and I get it for people out there, and if there's anybody going through this shit, you can reach out to me and talk about it. I get it. People, when you get to that point, you don't want other people to know about it.
Yeah.
A lot of what you're doing mentally is you're trying to justify what you're gonna do to you're gonna fuck somebody else's life up. So you're justifying to yourself how and why you're gonna do it.
Well, that's the thing. I was gonna save it, but just so you know that there's someone that understands what you're talking about here. I've been and it slowly has gotten extremely worse. I'm a hypochondriac.
I'm the worst fucking hypochondriac.
Yes, Bob. Bob's seen me through it. I always think I'm fucking dying. I always think something is different than the way it was on my body and my mind. Always. So I fucking, and trust me, there's been times where it's taken over months, and that's what I said about earlier with suicide. Never have I thought about how I would kill myself or when I was gonna do it, but it's dude, if these fucking I can't imagine going through this shit for fucking 6 months, a year.
Yeah,
like if this don't end,
at this point it's 2 years, and like I'm trying my hardest to like not let people around me know how fucking bad it really is. Like I said, people knew something was up, but everyone was at the point of the get over it phase, which you don't really get over it. And the sensations, just the damage. Every time you're doing something to yourself, you're just creating more damage that makes it even fucking worse. So it's like it's a decision you have to come up with. Like, can you really exist like this any longer?
Right.
And it's not something like to be glorified or anything like that. I mean, it's a tough thing. And after 2 years, it's like, all right, I got to do something. I didn't really want to do it, but I mean, it was obviously like something I had to do, or thought it was the only way I was going to end this fucking thing, because nothing was working. There was no way out. So I was really at that point.
Looking back now, is there anything that you would tell yourself then, like, or try to convey a specific thing that you'd be able to do? Someone that could have helped you, or something that you could have did it like early on that would have stopped all that stuff?
That's a good question. I've never thought about that.
I think about that shit all the time, like the butterfly.
You know what? Like something I'm gonna have to think about, because the only answer I can give you is kind of like a half joking, half serious answer. I tell myself to fucking save that money and buy those plane tickets to Hawaii.
Yeah.
But right. Otherwise,
I gotta give it to that doctor though. He tried telling you in a non-asshole way. Don't fucking worry about it.
Yeah, no,
I promise you.
I appreciate I still go and see the guy.
Yeah,
like I appreciate
think that's a real deal fucking dude.
I mean, the whole thing was fucked. Like I said, so it's to the point where I have to end it somehow, and I don't want to do it with like the easy way would be a drug overdose, because I'm not, other than getting into the benzos really hard and smoking the weed, like drugs aren't my thing. So I didn't want, and there's too many people I know, and even family members with drug problems, like, I don't need that attached to my name.
Right, and for them to think that it was a long time. Right, I get what you're saying.
What it turns out to be is, the French term for it is called l'appel du vide, which means the call of the void. And the call of the void is like, say you're on a bridge, or on a building, that weird urge you have to jump. It's the call of the void, l'appel du vide.
So you're not necessarily there.
You've ever been up on a high spot and
yeah.
You just that urge in the back of your head is like, oh, what happens if I ran off this building?
Right. I'm sorry, Bob. So Bob was taking over the rap shit, and I just smiled. I haven't seen it.
I was like,
I haven't seen it in years.
So l'appel du vide, call of the void. Like I'm gonna go fucking jump off a building. Fuck it.
Right.
Like I've had that urge. Like once you're in the air, there's nothing you can do to take it back. It's where I was, like, I haven't thought about it in however many years, so I don't know exactly where my mind was when I came up with this idea. But I had it planned out, like, I was going to do it after a One-Way Terror show.
Yeah.
We were playing on a Friday. I think we were playing Club Diablo. There was a parking ramp, and years later when I went to ECC, I used to park at this ramp all the time. And actually one day somebody did jump off this fucking thing, and I couldn't park there. Right from the spot that I had planned I was going to jump, because I used to just walk to the parking ramps and find a place to go smoke some weed or something. They were building this parking ramp a few years ago, and when they still had Thursday in the Squares downtown,
right,
this parking ramp was under construction. We used to go there all the time and just smoke, so I knew about the parking ramp. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go jump off this fucking parking ramp after a fucking show. It's like I said, I couldn't enjoy life. Like, it was gone. I was being controlled by this madness that was so bad. Like, there was no other option. I was seeing 3 therapists at once. Like, you thought, not only was I seeing 3 dentists, I was seeing 3 fucking therapists. I'm getting these illegally getting Valiums, because none of the 3 therapists are fucking prescribing me any kind of medication. They're just like, oh, we'll talk about it next month and see. And all the shit's coming out of my fucking pocket. I had some money saved up, but that money was long gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was therapy too. So I'm just gonna fucking jump, right? Now this is gonna happen on a Friday. Tuesday morning of that week, there was a girl that I was friends with. She calls me up, which is weird because we mostly texting, not calling on telephones too much. Get a call on a Tuesday morning. Her brother had just committed suicide. And, like, I was the first person this girl called, and I was like, she's totally hysterical. And I'm trying to, like, be comforting, whatever. But afterwards, I'm like, of all the people, like, this girl could have called, like, why did she call me first? She has way closer friends than me. Way more important people. And then I was like, fuck, I was going to jump off this fucking building on Friday. I'm like, this girl calls up screaming hysterical, and I'm just thinking of, like, I don't want that reaction for any of the people I know, or this is how everybody I know is going to fucking be.
Yeah,
take this
you
fucking news.
Heard it right
oh
there,
yeah,
exactly
I mean, I heard the fucking pain and the crying, so I was like, I can't fucking do this.
Right.
And then I didn't.
It's crazy how shit like
and
that
then,
happens.
And then, like, I don't even know, like, the teeth. I don't even know when the teeth thing stopped being a thing. But I decided I wasn't gonna jump off this fucking building. But at the same time, like, my whole soul was kind of damaged from this shit, and I was like, I just need to fucking, like, go into fucking hiding, or I need to go out, like, I need to go live in the wilderness for 6 months away from society. I don't know.
Oh, I thought about that often too. Yeah.
Something needed to happen. I needed to change, and, like, one of the things, like, why I ended up leaving the band, and I didn't say leave the band or quit, I always said retired, is because over that, like, 2.5 year period that I was in the band, like, that was the only thing that kept me going. When I had these feelings the entire fucking time, which started basically on, like, the third practice, all the way up until this point. And I needed to, like, be away from that.
Right.
Just because I was trying to heal from what had happened. Like, I don't know if, like, what had happened with that girl and her brother made things kind of go into perspective, but it made me not want to jump off the building.
Yeah.
So then there was, like, a period of a few months where I'm like, I'm going to have to step away, which I didn't want to do because I loved what we were doing. We were right in the middle of doing some new shit, and, like, we were in a pretty good direction, and I was really excited for it, but at the same time, like, in order to live, I needed to get away from it for a while. And that was right around the time, like, I remember seeing you at the fucking chop shop.
Yeah.
All fucking tweaked out.
Yeah.
And as I'm thinking about this, before I even, like, mention it to Bob and Dave and Jake, what I was going to do, and which I never even really told them exactly how I went into the decision to do what I was going to do, because there was too many other parts. But I was thinking, like, we know this Chris kid, he's pretty fucking cool. Like, every time we get together, we're shooting the shit like crazy, like, fun. He's, like, kind of similar style. He even tries dressing like me once in a while. And I'm like, what the, he's not in bands anymore, like, maybe he needs this to get his ass on track or something, because, like, this band, that's kind of what this band did from day number 3 to present moment.
Yeah, that can't even be like a fabrication, because these guys all seen the shape I was in. Dave's seen the shape I was in. It had to be like...
No, you were bad, and, like, so I sat there and I thought about it, and I was like, you know, I don't want to leave my dudes, like, high and dry, like, right while we're in the middle of doing this shit. So if I find the right dude personality wise, like, there's a lot of different things, like, you know, you don't want to go for me to, like, bringing in some fucking who knows what. So I'm like, not only does this guy, like, kind of fit the bill in that aspect, like, you're hurting in a way in life, and you need, like, and I remember, like, the first time I brought it up to him, I'm like, what do you guys think about Chris, like, taking over? Like, he needs this shit. I didn't even explain to them, like, how I needed it for the 2.5 or 3 years that I needed it. But I was like, I mean, this shit helped me. Like, the spot is open. Like, you could bring, like, a whoever in, and yeah, it'll be fun, but it won't have the same meaning.
Right.
So then that's when I kind of reached out to you, like, yo, like, I'm retired and you want to fucking be... Like, I knew you were stoked on what we were doing and shit. So I was like, pass these reins off to somebody else that can use them, because I need to go recover for a while. So.
Sorry. Okay. So, what's weird about that is like sometimes, and all my friends know, I could be what would be considered the typical flaky. Now, call it an excuse, call it what the fuck you want. But I almost, that first one-way tear, I commit to things out of wanting to try to, like, be doing something, to be there for my friends, to this and that. Like, so I always get confused on what I'm doing for me and what I'm doing for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And the anxiety almost drove me, even after saying I'm going to go and meet up with those dudes in practice here. It's probably the first day I ever met Reed. And I was completely clean and sober at this point. Like, weed went down. I was still smoking weed probably, but there was like I was able to get clean from all those substances I was talking about that led up to the dope. I was able to get through all that because of the 2 weeks I had to be clean in Florida. Because we literally, it was either my parents were like, well, you're not fucking staying in this house, so you're coming with us to Florida. And so I had to dry out, which was the right thing to do, right? Like, so
were you by a beach?
What was that?
Were you by a beach?
By a beach?
Yeah, were you by a beach?
Yeah.
Did you go to the beach?
Clearwater. Of course I did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's the best place.
But my grandfather. Yeah, and of course, like.
If I would have taken or had the plane tickets to Hawaii and went to the fucking beach, who knows? Like,
I'm in Florida.
Maybe I would have fucking chipped a tooth on a fucking pork bone at the luau. I don't know. Maybe it's better off that I didn't.
I'm literally in Florida for fucking 15 minutes when I bought a bag of weed. I just see a guy like, any green? He's like, yeah. Turns around, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but I mean,
that's my problem, dude. This shit just shows up.
I bet you the weed probably helped you through the other shit that you were missing out on.
It absolutely did. And I was still like, the breakup was so new that was still a thing in Florida. But me and Dave were talking, and like on the phone while I was in Florida, but we weren't anywhere near as close as I am now. But it's sort of when the wheels got in motion for One Way Terror for me to join. But anyway, so anxieties tend to make me do that. But then I remember I sat down and I was like, no, you're going to fucking learn the whole Hot and Haggard Way fucking record that you guys recorded. And you're going to fucking go there and you're going to play it. At this point, I thought I was a shitty fucking guitar player because I'd fucking given up on it. I always fucking had self-esteem issues with the guitar playing because all my friends around me were fucking way better than I was. Or I thought so at the time. And so it just sort of, it all sort of went in this weird fucking place where, like, it happened, I learned the songs, I showed up, I played, and I met and contained lifelong friends. Literally.
And you'd say, like, it basically helped kind of save you?
It fucking saved me. The other a lot of things did. The job saved me at the time it came. My parents, who I obviously hold a lot of disdain and love for, could have fucking left me there in the fucking city at my friends' houses and shit and just said, fuck you, we're going to Florida to take care of this. And you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of things that I absolutely put on that thing. But One Way Terror is the longevity thing for me that helped, like, Bob's someone I still fucking call whenever I fucking need advice on fucking anything for the most part.
Yeah, and like obviously, like here we are all these years later.
If I need them.
Here we are together all these years later doing a project that I think we even talked about when you were tweaked out at the Russian Chop Shop. Yeah. We talked about doing this.
Yeah, I didn't mean to misquote that about what I was or wasn't on at the Chop Shop. But I remember now because somebody at that show had another Adderall and I was already on like fucking 40 milligrams or something. And I was chugging. I remember singing. You guys covered A Global Threat. Was it? Or was it the NoFX song? Because you guys used to cover...
I think it was the Global...
You guys used to cover...
But we'd only do that...
We'd
We'd only do that, like, for certain parodies and, like, Halloween.
No, you definitely played it that day.
Did we?
100%, because I think I made...
Because it was the first show at that spot.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, so...
And then, but you also definitely played A Global Threat, because that's when Eric Hughes was starting to show up.
And I remember Jim going head first into the drywall
Yeah,
and breaking his glasses.
He went right into the. I thought it was like an arm or a foot, but it could have been a head.
It was
but,
and his glasses were broken.
Yeah, he absolutely.
Fun.
I remember seeing.
Remember huffing the toxic paint fumes from the chop shop?
Yeah, and Jim, you had on your Zoom T-shirt. That's how much I remember Jim going through that wall. And that's the day I met Jim.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of ironic that we have this little story of this band and, you know, helping two people out in their lives with problems, whether mental or drug.
Yeah.
So I guess not too many bands can say that. I'm kind of glad we waited this long to get into it, and next week we'll have to be fun again.
Well, and we're trying to figure out, you know, what other avenues we're going to take to involve people who are watching this podcast.
Yeah.
So reach out to myself or James personally if you guys have any questions that we can address, like maybe on a podcast or something about mental health.
Yeah, I think every so often we're just going to have a mental health day and talk about some issues.
I'm fine with it. I'm hoping our production team enjoyed it. I'm like, I can't wait to hear what they fucking think, because it was heavy. It was heavy.
Wait, okay. We'll end it after this, because this is something I totally forgot about. I just fucking remembered. So, and there's a clip that Bob can put up on here if he can find it. He probably has it fucking saved. So, I'm in the middle of the tooth thing, right? Like I said, people kind of know a little bit about it. They don't know how bad the extent is. So, obviously, Family Winslow knows about it. And I think it was my birthday, and we're going to a show. And I don't remember what fucking show it was, but I remember Sarah was coming to the show. And Bob and Sarah, for my birthday, sent me this fucking clip. Now, there used to be this video, like Bob would be at work looking at YouTube videos. It was this, like, trashy trailer chick with, like, 2 teeth, like, 500 pounds, sitting out in the middle of the trailer park, like, singing songs in the middle of the daytime. So they found her singing the All-American Reject song, I Hope My Face Gives You Hell. And then on the morning of my birthday, they both fucking text me this shit at roughly the same time. This video of this 500-pound trailer park lady with 3 teeth fucking singing All-American Rejects, I Hope My Face Gives You Hell. And it was pretty funny, but it was fucking terrifying. Like, that definitely, like...
Yeah, you guys do. That, like, I don't know what to think about that, man.
Dude,
like,
I totally forgot about
like,
that.
I appreciate the humor.
Like,
it was sick and twisted, but it definitely fucking fucked me up a little bit.
I know the song, dude.
But just the fact that, like, I mean, I knew, like, it was a joke and shit, but, yeah, that was pretty funny.
Well, it's good to put the funny into these stories, and that's why I think Energetic and Moral would be good. But yeah, reach out to either of us and email right through our Facebook page, YouTube. Get a hold of us if you need anything.
Yeah.
We'll help talk you through it and shit. And
I mean, it's one of them things you just, you know, people don't like to talk about it. We're here to talk, so next week we'll be back to talk some more shit.
Yeah, we'll have something real fun for next week, so... Alright. Peace.
Kitchen's closed, motherfucker.
Oh yeah. Kitchen's closed. Peace.
You're really embracing your rapper side right now.
It's on there, G.